Thank you very much, Esther Gizui Yuwat, and welcome back. Now joining us in our Washington studios are two distinguished guests, Garang Diing Akuong, the South Sudanese ambassador to the United States, and Reath Muoch Tang, SPLA, SPLM, in opposition representative to the United States. Well, gentlemen, of course, I have to say that I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host you once again on Voice of America's Straight Talk Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Shaka. Nice meeting you again, and thank you to be on your show again.
You're most welcome, and of course, I frankly have to say, or rather I'm tempted to say, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Later in the program, we will give you, the audience, a chance to call and talk with our guests. The number to call is 202-619-3111, and the US country code is 1. Let me come to you immediately, Mr. Ambassador. Your immediate reaction. Reath is back in Juba. He's already been sworn in as the first vice president. How significant is that, in fact, in terms of the restoration of peace and stability in your country?
Yeah, thank you very much again. I think the arrival of Dr. Riek Machar to Juba and his sworn in as the first vice president is the beginning of a new era in the life and history of South Sudan. Let me quote President Salva Kiir when he said that the arrival of Dr. Riek back in South Sudan is the end of the war. Indeed, it should be the end of the war. We have been waiting for his arrival, and thank God that he arrived safely, and he has now taken up his post as the first vice president. And he is now in consultation with the president as to how to form the government of national unity, which will be tasked with the implementation of the peace agreement. The transitional government will be a government that will take us from the war era to peace era to the elections. So the people of South Sudan are rejoicing the arrival of Dr. Riek, and peace is going to prevail, is going to be sustained, and with the help of our partners, the trust and the confidence is going to be rebuilt again, because this is very, very, very essential. The chemistry in the two leaders is very essential, and then also the reconciliation and people coming together, peace in South Sudan is very essential for the next era.
Very interesting. What about you, Reath? Beginning of a new era in the history of the South Sudan. Do you have reason to disagree, or do you in fact agree with the ambassador?
Thank you, Shaka, once again. There is no reason at all to disagree with the ambassador. You know, when I was watching some of the clip on YouTube about the reception that was given to Dr. Riek and the other team that came with him from Pagak, and seeing all the public coming out from the street of Juba and celebrating and shouting that it's the end of war and all this. So one could feel, you know, such kind of happiness for the peace to return back home. You know, our people suffer a lot for a long time. They die of war, of hunger, of disease, and a lot of issues kill them. So now, if the peace come back home, there is no any single reason each and every one of us will say it is not happy. We are all happy, and I believe every South Sudanese is happy for what happened just yesterday. People are feeling hope. They are feeling that the peace will come home, and the economic that is being one of the bigger problem for the people of South Sudan, because if you look at the economy of South Sudan right now, the normal citizen, they are not getting even a food to eat, no water to drink. So what they expect the leadership of two parties to bring peace back home, so that they can be working by their own to get their food for their children. And then they have to live their own life and be happy in their own country. So we are all very happy.
What are some of the most contentious issues that need to be immediately addressed in order to put a new government in place?
You know, some of the issues that need to be given immediate attention. Now, the two leaders, they promised the people of South Sudan that they are going to work together. The first thing I think they should do is, you know, there is a state of emergency that was declared in the three states of Greater Upper Nile region. That one need to be immediately lifted, and they have to release the prisoner of the war wherever they are in both sides. This is the first thing they have to do. And number two, they have to have a unified message for the peace and reconciliation for the people of South Sudan. And we have to also be serious about that message, because there are some people who can come in anyhow and preach their message that they want to preach. As we know very well, there are people who are not happy about the peace agreement, and we know them by name. And they have access even to the SSTV, which is the national TV of the government. And this is what is very important that they should do. Two leaders must caution everybody that everybody want to speak public, they must preach the word of peace and reconciliation, because this is needed, and it is seriously needed for the people of South Sudan to reconcile. In order for us to have a conducive environment to live together, to work together as two parties also in the government, they need peace and reconciliation. These are the things that they need to do right now. And there are a lot of things that should be following.
Ambassador, of course, Garang, Akuong, you have, of course, a deal which has been signed by the two major principals. But in order for this deal to be implemented and to have a government in place, I think you have to somehow incorporate it under the South Sudanese constitution. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Does it have to be incorporated into the constitution?
Yeah, terrific. I think the peace agreement has been signed by 4 parties, not 2 parties.
Right.
There are
that is correct. The other 2 parties, correct.
2 parties, 4 parties agreement,
right.
And it's witnessed by international regional bodies. The peace agreement is very important, and the provisions of the agreement say that the peace agreement is above the constitution.
Above?
Above the constitution.
Really?
Yes.
How can it possibly be above the constitution?
In terms of contradicting the provision of the agreement, the provisions in the agreement are more powerful or surmountable than the provisions in the constitution.
At least for the next 30 months?
At least for the transitional period. So the agreement was incorporated into the constitution, recognized by the constitution, and it is now legitimate constitution.
But is it possible for that to happen without, for example, members of parliament, in fact, voting on it?
Yeah, it was tabled in parliament, and it was passed unanimously. No a single voice that dissented against the agreement. So the agreement is now legitimate in the constitution, and it is legitimate in every arena in South Sudan. So now it is the parties to the agreement should sit down and to operate the agreement. And to operate the agreement, it has already been started by appointing Dr. Diing as the first vice president. That is one aspect.
So should we, for example, expect a cabinet and other important institutional positions to be, in fact, put into place in a couple of days?
Yes, once the executive is formed by the 4 signatories to the agreement, then the 4 parties to the agreement will go to the agreement and sequence the agreement. There are stages in which the agreement is going to be implemented. So the agreement is going to be implemented, and the institutions that are supposed to be established according to the agreement are going to be established according to the timetable that is enshrined in the agreement.